Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of FMCG Unplugged in association with Marico. I'm with Sujot Malhotra right now. Sujot is an XLRI alumnus. Very happy to have you here with us today. So Sujot, from campus to management trainee at Marico to category head, how has the journey been for you here?
It's actually been a lot of fun, and to me, in some sense, I never really left campus. So if you look at what Marico has been for the last 11 years, it's been a college in its own sense, my university in its own sense, and I can't really remember, a significant patch of my journey over here where I've not been lost or where I've not struggled to figure out what next. And which is a great place to be in, because in a role like marketing, which is an edge function, you're always trying to figure out, what are the boundaries to push on the brand, and they're uncharted territories. And you learn more with every single day, with every single initiative that you put out over there. And much like campus, it is not something that is mandated or something that comes with job. It's a function of your own initiative. How much do you want to push yourself? How much do you want to push the work that is entrusted upon you?
So Sujot, the first thing that we notice is that you've obviously been with Marico for so long. The other thing is that you've also done 9 different roles across these 11 years. So can you talk something about how that journey has been?
Yeah, I've done a fair degree of different kinds of work over here across 2 large functions. There's sales, there's marketing. So first 2 years I spent in sales, first year in South India, then another year in North India, handling UP, which is good fun actually. And then I got an opportunity to move into brands where now I've worked across various different roles.
So Sujot, can you tell us how Marico has empowered and helped you grow into a successful marketing professional?
So see, to me, whatever I know of the corporate world, every organization is empowering in 2 different degrees, and that's really our role. I mean, unless a manager or a custodian is not really empowered, you can't really make a difference. What is difference in Marico is the degree of hunger that the company has, and the degree to which people will let you be if they have the confidence that you know what you're talking about, and you have some proven track record of actually delivering. So if you look at the kind of stuff that Marico has allowed me to do over the last 11 years, whether it's brand like Setwet or brands like Shanti, the degree of changes that they've allowed me to do on such big equities, it's just overwhelming. And that to me is a large difference. And the other part also is that it's not just empowering, there is a fair degree of accountability, and there is actually a very large degree of psychological security that the company provides. I mean, it's not like I have not messed up. It's not like I have not messed up ever in the last 11 years, but that's not been held against me. I've only grown from year to year.
Sujot, what marketing work around the world has excited you recently?
See, from a trend, if I were to talk about the large piece that's always possibly on everybody's mind nowadays, the new strides that are happening in the digital world. So it not just excites me, actually at some level also scares me. So in fact, day before we were discussing this, how to take the new Grandparents' Day campaign live to consumer, because largely it's an online campaign. How do you really, activate it online is something that we are still learning. And it's people younger than you who actually teach us how to do it, and we don't know it. So despite having 11 years of work experience, I can safely say I know less about how online marketing works than possibly a person with 0 work experience, because they are actually consuming that world. They are the people for whom that world is built.
Right.
And we see that in some of the like travel is one sector that's really taken on to it. I mean, search for travel location A to B once on any portal and see how they chase you after that, and how they're able to get to the last mile in marketing, customized marketing to each and every person, whether it's online or whether it's even connecting back to the offline world. The kind of stimulus that is then post that shown to you, whether it's a phone call or whatever else that they do. FMCG is miles behind when it comes to that.
Right.
Because so far we've largely been one-to-many kind of a communication, where we put out something and we expect consumers to behave a certain way. Yes, we are no longer in that place where we just put a film and we say, okay, people will start buying the product. We do activate, like the Grandparents' Day activation I was talking about, or we do have surround medium, whether it's putting the communication online on YouTube or through JDN banners and stuff like that. But I still think that's quite dated, and the world is evolving faster than we as marketeers are evolving.
Right.
And that's really the exciting domain. Within this also, if I were to talk about some brands, there's some brands that have really mastered this two-way communication, and this two-way communication is now no longer about just some brands that I find that are fancy and that I want to be associated with, brands that I really engage with. So Apple to me stands out as one brand that managed to do it, and recently so it's OnePlus.
Right.
So if you look at OnePlus as a device, it's just a Chinese manufacturer like so many of these others. Whether it's I'll not take brand names, but there's so many of these others.
Right.
We know these are who are looked as Chinese competitors, but OnePlus is not, because they managed to, the way they started off, it's an invite-only system. They had a relationship ecosystem that they did things right.
Right.
Or closer home, if I were to talk, in Indian examples, if you take Bajaj V as the campaign, which was about when Vikrant as a destroyer was about to be, decommissioned, and really the destroyer was about to be broken down and sold for scrap. The entire idea of using that metal to build bikes and sell it, it's just a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful campaign. It's really inspiring.
Right.
Not only have they managed to build a brand out of it, they've managed to increase brand love to the nth degree by such a simple idea.
So Sujot, would you like to shed some light on a new trend that surprises you or amuses you as a marketer?
So I don't know, the one thing that just comes to my mind, and I'm talking of art, it's from our kind of industry, just the FMCG world. Increasingly what I see is the trend is moving closer to every brand becoming a service. It's no longer just a product being bottled or packed and being sold to the consumer. What you're really selling is a service, and that's a paradigm shift in how do you market to the audience. And that's something maybe students should look at and learn from. And I'm sure these trends have happened much more globally than they happening in India now. That could be one place that they could look at. So I'd say FMCG alone, I would say just anything. I'll tell you the one trait that I've seen that sets apart people who really go the long, who really stick around, who are able to make something of themselves, and people who do tend to get lost in the first few couple of years. It's the openness and openness and willingness to learn, and that's actually a potential showstopper for a lot of people, because when you're fresh out of campus, you just want to go out there and change the world and become the CEO the next day, which is not bad. Having drive and having enthusiasm to go and change things around is never bad. But in some places, what does happen is that you tend to get close to new ideas, or actually not new ideas. I'm saying actually the value of experience. That's a better word to use. That people who have been open, who come and work with me, who've built from what is the resident knowledge, have tended to go a longer way in their careers that I have seen, than people who've come and who've just tried to change everything around, turn things on their head because they have this desire to show results tomorrow. They have either irreparably damaged the piece that they are working on, or even if they've managed to do something with it, they've in the quality of interactions that they have with the people who are reviewing them, or people who they are working with, they manage to spoil relationships.
Right.
And if you see the marketing world per se, marketing world, or what any professional world say, it's actually not just about the aptitude that you bring to the table, because aptitude can really be taught. So what the basics of marketing, or the basics of sales, the basics of supply chain, any function can be taught. What sets apart people is the attitude. The attitude to learn, the attitude to work with others, and the attitude to have common wins rather than have your individual wins and victories. That's one advice that I have for people who come fresh to the campus, that don't just focus on learning what is happening new in the world, what are the new trends, whichever way, learn and give some focus to the softer skills, human skills that you'll bring to the table. That's what is going to really set you apart as a professional.
So next question, Sujot, we have for you is, how does a brand like Parachute Advance continue to stay relevant in today's times, considering that oiling as a habit might be reducing and there are newer options for hair care? And what has the brand done to marry the tradition with modern Indian lifestyle and outlook?
So I think Parachute Advanced actually to me as a brand is today even more relevant. than what it was possibly a decade ago. So the brand is all about that champi moment. It is that one moment where human beings have connected over years during the act of oiling. So everybody, if you really look back in your own life, I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have that one, experience of oiling with one of, whether it's a nani, whether it's a mother, when we've been really emotionally vulnerable, where there's somebody who's taken care of us, where we've cried, where we really shared a strong emotional bond. And today, if you see what is changing in today's world, is actually that bond is becoming weaker. So our relationships are more social media led. I don't know when was the last time any of us in this room went and spent a day with our grandparent. We don't do such stuff anymore, and largely it's phone calls because everybody is busy in their own life and people are getting pulled apart. We are working in different cities. From where we used to live with. I live in a different city from my parents, and I don't get to spend time with them. So Parachute advances that is one of those very few brands that actually can credibly talk about these moments and these relationships and try to make a difference to people's life. And that's really what our new campaign is all about. So and not just the campaign, actually that's the new brand purpose. So if you manage to see the new communication that we put out, which is Thoda Love Jatao, where we are largely just prodding people to give expression to the love that they feel for others. So it's not like any of us love our grandparents any lesser or our parents any lesser. It's just that we assume the people know and we don't tell them enough, and possibly we should. And oiling as an act also is relevant in the same. So there are these champi relationships that you have, and their relationships are not champi relationships. Like today you can't, anybody sitting in this room can't pick up a bottle of Parachute Advance and start oiling me. It's a very intimate relationship that you have only with a select few people. And those are the relationships that we really want to make a difference to. That we want people to go back in time, go back and start connecting again. And that's where I see the brand being more relevant. Even functionally, if I were to talk about, not just emotionally. Oiling as an act, if I were to talk about, while there are, yes, new instant benefits of conditioners and, conditioning shampoos and whatever. Today, if you look at globally, factually speaking, Indians have the best hair. In fact, there was a campaign that we did a while back, it's called World's Best Hair. And that is largely because of the fact that oiled hair is the best hair. And you talk about any hair quality, whether it's thickness, whether it's texture, anything about the hair or length of the hair, Indians actually, scientifically, factually speaking, have the world's best hair. And today, in a time where you're more exposed to pollution, in a time where you're more exposed to a hectic lifestyle stress that leads to body condition, including hair deteriorating, oiling is even more relevant. So yes, there's a small mass of consumers, small chunk of consumer who's oiling a little lesser, but the larger chunk is actually oiling just as much. And even the large chunk, there is now a return to the roots kind of habit that we are seeing when people are seeing really drastic signs of reduction in hair quality, whether it's hair fall or it's even dryness in hair. That's where people are going back to oil. So the trust in oil is not lesser than what it used to be, and trust in Parachute Advance is definitely not lesser than what it used to be. In fact, today when we meet consumers, they actually verbatim say that over the years, if you see, quality of possibly everything that we have used has deteriorated. Parachute Advance is still the same what it used to be when I had that last experience of using it with my mother.
Have you done any interesting new activations around this which you can share with students?
So actually a campaign is going live in 2 days from now, which is around Grandparents Day, and that's what I touched upon right now. So the campaign just really urges people that Grandparents Day happens to be on 10 September.
Right.
And we are urging people on this 10 September to get out of their online world and the social media update world and actually spend some real time with a grandparent. And maybe if possible, for people who've been there for you throughout their life, who've given everything that you've possibly asked them, and today all they're asking for from you is just your time.
Right.
And if you could just do that for your grandparents and see what it does, not to just to the grandparent but to you yourself emotionally.
Tell me about a memorable thing from your days at XLRI.
I think it's all the wet nights that we used to have. All the drunken dancing that we used to do, that's one thing that...
So, Sujot, how many batchmates are you still in touch with from XLRI?
Actually, very few, not too many. And there is that need of thoda love jatao in our own lives also. when there is so much of paucity of time that you can hardly connect with family, it becomes quite difficult to connect with friends also.
I'm assuming you would have had many long train journeys to Jamshedpur from Calcutta.
Yeah, from Delhi.
From Delhi.
Yeah.
So, would you like all travel together? From the same region? Any such memories?
Yeah, actually, when you talk about that, it's coming back to me. Actually, that was a very, very good part of life at Excel, which forces you to actually spend time with each other in one bogie that you're sitting all of us. And we used to make life hell for all our fellow passengers over there. And also, once we reached over there, at that time, the conveyance wasn't that great. So I remember traveling in open tempos, like 10 of us sitting in open tempo and traveling to Jamshedpur.
Thanks a lot, Sujot, for doing this. It was great talking to you. I'm sure that users of Inside IM will really enjoy listening to your experiences and will hopefully learn a lot as well.